be here. Okay, thank you. Yeah, all right. So today I'm going to be talking about Mercury. I have prepared a presentation, my PowerPoint, so I'm going to go right to it. Okay.
If everyone could mute.
Yeah, please mute yourselves, or well, I guess I could mute everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so all right, this is let me hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Mercury, right? Mercury is our very, very precious intellect. Mercury may have been one of the first things that we learned in astrology, because, after we learned about the sun, moon, the ascendant, of course, Mercury is the next in line. It's often famous for its retrograde. I've had so many people who don't know astrology says, oh, it's a Mercury retrograde. It's like, Mercury just has that and it's in the comedy shows and all of that. But Mercury, it represents our mind, our mental faculty, and our worldly interface. It is really about everything that we do, we say, how we take things in. I don't know if you guys have any grandparents, your parents, or just the older folks around you who has aged and they have dementia. So basically they start to have this very blank face. They just sit there. They're not able to retain anything that we say to each other. So that is kind of like Mercury being gone, or that so much of Mercury, of your capability of processing your mental mind is gone. So that is very sad, or that's very scary. So today we will try to put Mercury to its best application. When I say that, I mean, like, we're going to try to use Mercury. We're going to put it to our chart. And, of course, anybody can ask me any question at any time, because I'm not good at checking my chat at the same time that I'm doing the presentation. So if you have a question, please just ask. You don't have to wait till the very end to ask. Okay, so I think that is the best way. Okay, so the next page, our valuable intellect. Again, Mercury is applied in so many areas of our lives: work, play, relationships, decisions, you name it. So where is your Mercury? What sign is it in? What house? What element before or after the sun? If you're passive or aggressive, or is this if there is anything karmic or realistic journey about your Mercury? And over here, I put on a little funny picture. I'm sure that we have probably all heard about this when we were little. If you blindfold yourself and you go touch the elephant, you can say, oh, is it a wall? Is it a snake, or is it whatever? So it's all about our perception. And Mercury is our perception. When you're watching TV, you say, ah, that is so funny. That is your Mercury at work, right? Or when you smell the good food somebody's cooking at home, you say, oh, that smells so good. I want to eat something right now. And again, that perception, that dealing with the reality, that is all Mercury working. You may say, okay, well, no, something about it is Venus, or something about it is Mars, or it's just like I had a wrist fracture at the beginning of this year, so it took away some of my mobility of my arm, and or also to type and to lift heavy things, so that's like diminishing my Mars. And so, Mercury is all about us perceiving things and having to talk to you. If you say something to me, I won't say, huh, what did you say? So basically Mercury is everything that we need to receive the world. So that is how important I think that Mercury is. As an astrologer, for many years, of course, I'm just like, a lot of people, the big three, right? The sun, moon, ascendant. And then, of course, with relationships, I did a lot of Venus and Mars. And then Mercury was sort of put on the shelf. To me, anyway, I didn't really pay too much attention to Mercury for a long time. But as I age forward, I start to go back to Mercury, and I realize that Mercury is very important in an interpretation. Okay, so we're gonna dive right in. The first part of my presentation today is about the occupation. But of course, it's not just about occupation. Mercury, like I said earlier, it's about how we perceive. If the boss tells us something, like, oh, please do this work, or please answer the phone. We need our total attention, Mercury, to do the job. But of course, it may apply to other things like relationships, or being playful, going to a party, dealing with people. And a lot of times when people talk to you, if you have some kind of afflicted Mercury aspect, maybe you say, oh, I didn't understand what you were saying. Or, of course, that would make you diminish in a lot of ways. So we don't just look at our ascendant or our sun or moon. Mercury, even though it's like a third planet in line, but it's really very important. So again, I can't reiterate enough. Okay, so occupation by sign and house. I made up this table here. On the left column, it is all about the signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. And the second column is the equivalent house.
I'm a Virgo.
Thank you. Many people read the sign and house separately, but I just want to say that
I'm a Virgo.
My belief is that in astrology, you can bingo anything. Right?
I'm sorry, I'm a Virgo.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I will get to it. Okay, thank you. All right, so when we talk about traits, or we talk about timing.
But I'm a Virgo.
I think we've been bombed again, people. That's my suspicion.
Who's
Does
saying
anybody-
hacked or bombed
Yeah.
again?
Oh yeah, okay. Jeffrey renamed himself Greg. All right, yeah. So I seem to be this. I seem to.
It started with you again, Greg.
You're muted, just so you know.
I'm a Virgo. I'm a Virgo.
Okay. All right. Annotation, erase. Usually, of course, Virgos are really
Sorry, I can't help myself. I'm a Virgo. I'm drawing on your screen because I'm a Virgo. It's because I'm
What do you suggest we do?
It's because I'm a Virgo. I'm sorry. I'm a Virgo. I'm sorry.
I can write to
No, I'm a Virgo. I'm sorry. I'm a Virgo.
and
I
see
can't-
if
Maybe
No.
if somebody else has a Zoom account, they could just send us the link privately or something. So it's not showing on Facebook.
No, like it's because I'm a Virgo.
I guess this guy doesn't have much else to do with his life.
No, it's because I'm a Virgo.
Yeah. I'm gonna call Zoom right now.
Okay, go ahead and continue, Audrey. Unmute yourself and continue.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
If he comes back in and he's jumping from person to person, what I'm going to do is kick you out, and you'll just have to try to come back in, I guess.
Okay.
Or catch the video. I got to deal with this is an issue with Zoom.
Mm. All right.
He's in the waiting room.
But the interesting thing is, I think he came through to Greg first last time too, and he did this time too. It was the first name that popped up on the screen. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't want to blame Greg, but I'm just giving a hint
Yeah.
here. So,
Jeff first. He was first listed as Jeff, and then he switched over to Greg.
mm,
Yeah, he went from Greg to Kathy to somebody else. I think, yeah.
How did you get rid of him, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I think he jumped, and then what I did was, I think the last person he was on, I removed, but they seemed to just jump, and then maybe he went off on his own and decided to have fun someplace else. I don't know.
Yeah, he was last listed as Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And do you have the capacity to delete participants on your end, Jim, as a host?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I've done, but
Yeah, it's just as I kind of knew it was going to happen. We just had a troll again. They're just trolling astrology.
yeah,
so
Yeah.
who tried to contact Zoom? Was it you, Katrina?
I
I
contacted
didn't.
Oh,
my
you
Zoom.
did.
Yes, it's my Zoom account. I contacted Zoom.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see if we can.
All right, Audrey.
We're
Sorry
with
for that.
you, Audrey. We're with you.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's
Okay.
best if everybody could use a live video and a first and last name so we could know who they are and if they're real or not. Thanks for your patience, Audrey.
Oh, it's okay.
God.
Thank you. Yeah. It's all right. Great. Thank you. Okay. So, okay, I was gonna say, we're just gonna dive right in with the occupation, but of course you can use it in many other areas, like let's say your family dealings with one another, or lovers, or any kind of relationships, or health, the money, anything. Okay, so let's just use the sign. If you have Mercury in Aries, then this is the way to use it, to use a table. So you look for your traits. You're basically a fire sign, physically bold, pioneering, quick, motivational. Those are probably some of the keywords. And the job examples, you know, I know we have many jobs that may require you to do many different skills, right? Maybe you need a little personal skills, maybe some other financial skills and all of that. So there is really no absolute job description or job examples. However, I would say, you know, I'm just putting a few of the examples here, like being an athlete, a starter of anything, a boss, you know, employer, sales, promoter, army, outdoor, energetic person. All of that could be someone with the Mercury in Aries. And some of these are famous people that I like to show because I feel that they are good examples of how they utilize their energy. So of course, Jet Li, some of these very physical people, and of course, some like Mark Zuckerberg, he is also Mercury in Aries. Robert Downey Jr. And I would say that their Mercury may show up in the roles, the TV, the movie roles that they play, that goes down in history as their legacy. Okay, so we will see them later on. Even Van Gogh, he has Aries Mercury. So that means he probably want to do something very, very genuine, very different, one of a kind, that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the trades and job examples. A Taurus Mercury could be someone who wants to really get into the financial good stuff. It's like candy to a child, right? And they want to enjoy what they do, something about, working at the buffet so I can have that for lunch every day. Or also having a steady going, like a 9 to 5, or it doesn't have to be always 9 to 5, but at least it's something steady that they consider very enjoyable, aesthetically pleasing to them. So I think some bodybuilders, pageants, or chef in the restaurant, taster, wine tasting person, or somebody, or those perfume scent smeller, that kind of thing. So I think that all of these relate to Venus or Taurus. Okay, so a Gemini Mercury, of course, is at home, at its own home. Or if you have a Mercury in the third house, right? So you're in the Mercury house of a Gemini, in the Gemini house of Mercury. Okay, so you need something that is mental, that is very fast paced, that is interactive and stimulating. Let's say if you work at the horse race, even if you just serving food, or if you're doing the cashier at a horse race place, but at least it's very stimulating. And of course, maybe you're a traffic cop, or something that relates to the house number 3. You could enjoy that if you have a Mercury in Gemini. So something like a reporter, tour guide, a creator of anything, of a show, of a book, of a script, or of any kind. A receptionist who needs to talk all the time, an IT person, a multitasker. Okay, all of those. All right, now if you have Mercury in Cancer, it's a water sign. So you will have emotional characteristics of your Mercury. You must care for your job. The caring factor, feeling at home, making people feel at home, or the home even extends to real estate, being an agent or broker, and you have a protective nature, and you're crafty with anything that you like to do for other people. So the examples that I found are like homemaker, daycare, nursing, counselor, a therapist, a chef, a coach, a life coach, and so on and so forth. Okay, a Leo Mercury is someone who needs to be public figure, someone who needs to be on his own, a one-man company, one-woman company, attention getter, a solo person, a personality like a TV personality or some kind of personality, very big on personalities, right? Like a celebrity, somebody going on a game show, you become the celebrity of a show. All of that will, the spotlight will go right to you if you are the Mercury in Leo. And an actor, a model, politician, a leader, even a clown, or a comedian, all of those people would love to have a Mercury in Leo. All right, now next one, Virgo. All right, Virgo, Mercury in Virgo, that's another sign that Mercury rules. So, Virgo Mercury needs to be very, they like to be very intellectual, organizational. They like to keep a little profile, low profile, instead of like being a Leo. So, every two consecutive signs, they always have like a opposite traits to each other. Something about out of the 10 different traits that they have, something opposite to the previous sign or the sign following. Okay, and all right, so the examples that I have, I'm sorry about this thing. Okay, okay, so well, hold on. Slideshow. Okay, so let's say, for example, perhaps an herbalist, a historian, a librarian, a lab tech, or a veterinarian, a scientist, a printer. All of them could have a Virgo Mercury and they will love it. Okay, so the next page, signs 7 through 12. If you have a Libra Mercury, I would say that you are sociable. You love art, music, any kind of casual, sociable skills or artistic talents. Not only that they please you, they also are like a good tool for you to get in touch with the other people. So all of that could be good. And of course, law is a part of the Libra traits. So I listed here as musicians or customer service. That is of course very fitting. A mediator, a beautician, legal person, legal aid or legal anybody, ambassador. Right. Okay, the next one is Mercury in Scorpio or in the 8th house. Then definitely you have that investigative skills. Not only that you're attracted to doing puzzles or trying to figure people out or tailgate somebody or doing something, basically the Scorpio Mercury likes to work his brain. And so also military or, sexual energy, underground. So I put the sex therapist over here. And of course, tax preparer, a spy, a policeman, a mortician, and a mobster, just to name a few very unique and special type of occupation by Scorpio Mercury. Okay, the next one is Sagittarius, or if you have Mercury in the 9th house. Okay, so in your heart there is that outgoing soul. Right? You want to travel, you want to move around, you don't really like to be tied to the desk. And the freedom, the sense of freedom is very important to you. Or in a relationship, maybe you say, yeah, I'll be home for dinner, but please don't give me a curfew. So that sense of freedom is really important. And you may like a variety of things, whatever that inspires you at the moment is good. Sagittarius Mercury don't want to be bored. They just hate that so much. And of course, educational. So if you have anybody in your home who would love to be a travel agent, who would like to be a pilot or a preacher, interpreter, a consultant, a teacher, all of those could be a Sagittarius Mercury manifestation. The next one is Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, or in the 10th house. Could be someone who's very business oriented, and they are in the business to have some kind of earning. They don't ever do any kind of a nonprofit stuff, right? Because it's not really practical. It doesn't serve any purpose if there's no earning. Why do I do something if I don't have any earning, right? So, okay. And then the leadership just comes naturally. There is that solid stability factor. All the earth signs have that. And also the structure is important, the practicality is important. So I listed like a self-employment, banking, being like a mortgage broker or somebody, or life coach, corporate, climbing the ladder, and then also building a building, doing construction. Okay, so those are the Mercury and Capricorn type of people.
Hey, Audrey, can I bounce in with a quick question?
Yes, please.
You're just describing people, but I love interpreting charts for events,
Mhm.
cities, counties, states, global, mundane, financial, whatever, you name it. It would be so nice to have just like a little sliver as we're going through of how to, relate that to
Yeah,
somebody
sure.
besides a mammal.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, so what I would like to do today is for everybody to ask questions about your own chart, and then of course any other if we have time left, right? So time permitting, we would do anything that you suggest. Anything that people want to suggest is great. City, horror-y, anything. Okay, so
Audrey, can I just follow up with a question? Based on the movement of Mercury, given the fact that it's never more than 27 or 28 degrees from the sun, it's often going to be in the same sign as the sun. And a lot of these examples that you're giving here are examples that people would say would relate to sun signs. And you know what I mean? So when you're saying, oh, Libra's like this or Scorpio's like that, you don't have to look at that through necessarily the lens of Mercury. And I'm wondering, what does Mercury add? Because you could say tax preparer, spy, police, etc. for Scorpio, or mediator for Libra, just as a sun Libra, and that Mercury could be in Virgo, it could be in Libra, or it could be in Scorpio.
Yes.
What does that Mercury position add specifically, other than, because this same chart could really apply if you were just talking about sun signs? No?
Yes, yes. Very good point. Yes. So of course, a Libra person could have a Virgo Mercury, right? And then so that Libra person may say, well, I'm not very, I hate doing those Libra things. But then that person could say, oh yeah, the Virgo things I love. So, this is how when people come to you and say, I'm so confused, what is my next job? Or I'm still trying to find my next job, even though I've been doing something for 10 years already. So this is where you are, where it can be revealing, right? So that just gives you a closer look, a deeper look, another layer of this person. But definitely, thank you so much for asking that, because we will talk about whether it's before the sun, after the sun, right on the sun, and then the different elements and all of that. So, of course, like I said earlier, you don't ever have to just find one factor in your life. Let's say I have Mercury in Cancer in the 9th house. So these are the very two different things, right? Libra in Mercury in Cancer, so the 4th house, and in the 9th house. So I must combine, or I may combine the 4th and the 9th house together, and that's me. Right? Maybe when I was young, when I was a little girl, I couldn't do that. The two very far inconjunct houses together. I couldn't do that. Right? But as I grow older and older, as I got 1, 2, 3 different jobs, I started to say, hey, I do like the 4th house Mercury, and I do like the 9th house Mercury too. So I think, I think that is a person's ability to survive, when you need to use something else, or that may be something that you're meant to come into this life to learn. We just incorporate, we infuse. That is my way of looking at it. I hope that, what do you think? I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Because I know you mentioned that signs that are next to each other, and this kind of goes off of what I think Greg was saying. He said that they can have opposite characteristics. So my sun is 27 degrees Gemini in the 8th house, and my Mercury is 2 degrees in Cancer in the 9th house. So Gemini and Cancer definitely have their opposite characteristics. So yeah, that's why when you were talking about, 9th house or Cancer Mercury, I was like, I don't really identify so much with those, like these people are like this, because my sun is 8th house Gemini. So what would a job be for someone like me, where I am kind of like on the cusp for both my sun and Mercury?
Okay, so I want to say that this PowerPoint will be made available to everybody. And of course, right now, as we're talking, you can use your cell phone and take a picture of some of the necessary important pages for yourself so that you can have the table in your phone with you at all times. So if you have a Gemini Mercury, of course, you can read all the descriptions over here, mental, fast, stimulating, all of that. But then you will also add the 8th house, the Scorpio house, like, doing the investigative type, military, so you combine. Because every time when a planet is in a certain house, then it starts to pick up some of that energy too. Right. So you will, you may say, yeah, okay, well, it seems like I like some of this or some of that. It's like being at a buffet. You may say, I don't just want to eat beef. I also want to eat some dessert. I want, so it becomes you. They are all part of you. And then, of course, we won't get into that, but the relocation, right? When we move to a whole different city, then you again take on different energy, or that the surrounding provides you a different circumstance. So, we just continue learning. And of course, talking about continuing the learning, we have progression. Either we have like a solar progression, of course, Mercury progression, everything secondary progression, or solar arc. And so they all add on to our being. So let's say I was born a Leo, and I already did the Leo, and I also did the Virgo, and now I'm old enough to do Libra. So we continue to learn the different dimension of ourselves. And so it is okay to say, yeah, okay, I have the 4th and 9th combination, and that is me. Okay, okay, so all right, let's move on, because I have well, thank you so much for your question. All right, so I didn't finish Pisces, and I'm sure that these are pretty basic astrology stuff, and I don't really want to bore you. I know we have a lot of very good astrologers who have been around for a long time, so I'm sure that you can find these very basic keywords of each sign, and there are some more advanced stuff that I would like to talk about, so we can just breeze through them fairly fast. Okay, so Mercury in the houses of like angular, succeedent, or cadent houses, which are also cardinal, fixed, and the mutable. And I did a little color chart over here to show the 1, 4, 7, 10 being the angular houses, and 2, 5, 8, 11 the succeedent, and 3, 6, 9, 12 being the cadent. And so you can, of course, look at these characteristics. If you have the angular position of your Mercury, then your Mercury is more aggressive, more initiating. Like, I just want to do something new, or I like, new jobs. I don't really want to stay in my job for more than 5 years, or, something like that. Or even if I am in a long-term job because it's my own company, but I like to do the things that are like promoting or initiating or starting a new project or that kind of thing. So, if you have a 1st house or a 4th house, angular Mercury, then these are the kind of things that you will be that you will need to satisfy yourself to stay in that same job for a long time. If you're lacking these kind of qualities, then you won't be happy. Then of course you will have to find new jobs to fulfill that kind of initiating or forcible activities that you need. And over here, this identity keyword that I put here, I wanted to say that people who have angular houses, they want to be recognized for some identity. Perhaps it's about your own identity, like, oh, I look beautiful, I need to be the spokesperson of a company. Or let's say if it's in your marriage, again, you need to be the front person, or that kind of thing. So identity, is very important to the Mercury in the angular house. Compare that to succeeding and cadent houses. If you have a Mercury in the succeeding houses, you may say, "Oh, I don't want to be in the front." When we take a company portrait, I don't want to be over there. I don't want to be in the front. Maybe you would say that, or all you care about is going to job 9 to 5 or every day. My mom, for example, she retired about 38 years ago. And then, so she found this stock market that she goes to every day. So it's like she retired and then she goes to the stock market every day. Nobody require her to go, but she likes that. So, okay. And then we have the cadent houses. Okay. So anyway, the succeeding houses, they need to persist. They need to find something that is belonging, or something that is a belonging to the first angular concept. So perhaps something belonging could mean, like, let's say Taurus to an Aries. Taurus will be, oh, how much money am I going to get, right? What is my benefit? What is what is mine to keep? So all of that would be a sense of belonging. And of course, you can look at the 5th house as the belonging or the money house of the 4th. Or the 6th house is also the 2nd house to the 5th. So you do the derivatives to look at all the different second houses to the previous house. Okay, so that is a good, always, derivative is always a good concept, another dimension to reading astrology. Okay, so the cadent houses will be the last one, the 3, 6, 9, 12. And they are the houses of Mercury, of the Gemini, Virgo, and the Sagittarius and Pisces. So out of them, we know that there are dual signs in there, so they're changeable, they're transitional, they're least visible. Let's say if I have a company and I need somebody to do the sales. So I look for those Mercury and angular houses. Hey, you do that. Okay. They say, yeah, okay. They have a lot of enthusiasm. They want to do, the number one pioneering position. And then you will have some other company, or you will have somebody who can do accounting, or somebody who would do their paperwork every day and not get bored. And those will be the succeeding Mercury people. And then you also have the cadent Mercury people. Okay? And those people will be like, oh, I don't like this. I think, okay, now we need to modify. Whoever that set up the first precedence or something is not looking good. So we need to modify. So changeable, transitional, and least visible. Okay, so all right, let's move on to the next. Occupation by element, or relationships by element. Okay, so we have 4 elements in our Western astrology system. We have the fire, earth, air, and water. And of course, fire is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, earth is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and so on and so forth. So fire signs, they really need to feel inspired. They need to be creative. When you think about the fire, the flame is constantly changing, right? It is not really obtainable. Like you want to touch it, you want to put it in a cage. It is just not possible. Now, even air can be put into a canister, or even air can be somewhat obtainable, but fire is definitely not. So if you have a Mercury in fire sign, in Aries or Leo or Sagittarius, then in the future for the next 30, 50 years, you want to do the kind of jobs that is very fiery, Okay, maybe like a fire, heat related, like being a cook, having a lot of creativity, creating something every day, firearm, firefighter, all of these fire words, or like a racing, sports, a racing person, a boxing person, I put this Oliver Winchester. He's the gun company Winchester founder. Okay, so how appropriate is that, right? Okay, Earth sign Mercury. They would love to have a reliable, steady, slow, routine, status, mature, profitable in the close kind of work career. All right. So if you say, okay, well, Earth Mercury person, can you do what fire person does, like go to fight fire? They don't like it. They don't like it because they put out the fire and then what? what is my future? Okay, where is that fire that I try to build, right? Or if I put out the fire and then the city will pay me or somebody else will pay me, but I'm definitely not getting any joy from putting out the fire. Right. So Earth sign person, they want to have something that they can see as as their fruition, like a landscaper, cargo, archaeologist, mechanic, a mining person, all of that. Okay, so air sign Mercury would be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So again, they need mental, communicative type of job, open. Okay, big open space. Like, oh, please don't put me behind the door in a lab. I don't like to be in there. I feel suffocated. Okay, so air sign people, they need a lot of space and stimulating and youthful. They're like forever young. Okay, so pilot, teacher, speaker, lawyer, programmer, inventor, all of the very open mind, open space, open kind of a people are air Mercury. Now water Mercury would be someone who is emotionally caring, adaptable, attached to a relationship or to the company, or attached to whatever that their circumstance is. And also they may feel very spiritual, and they need connection. If they go to work and there's nobody to connect to, then they're ultimately very empty inside. They don't like that. Many people who have water on the 10th house on midheaven, they say, yeah, I'm just a mother hen at work. So they need to take care of people. And so like a fluid, swimming, coffee, barista, lab tech. Okay, so a water Mercury can be someone working behind a lock room, but not an air Mercury. Okay, because we have a lot of these vacuum room or these very important like pharmaceutical companies where you cannot bring any germs in. So okay, those will be good for a water sign Mercury, but not an air sign Mercury. Okay. Okay, so the next concept is a little bit different. It's about our thinking mechanism. Now, how do you think and speak? With forethoughts or speak first, think later? Is your intelligence too brilliant to be concealed or better hidden than exposed? So I think it's very easy with Mercury, because Mercury, we all know, or most of us know, they are not over 30 degrees from the sun. Usually they're just very close. So in the position of your chart, they're either before the sun or after the sun or right on the sun. So, it is a unique characteristics than all the other 8 planets. If your Mercury is before your sun, let's say mine is Cancer, my sun is Leo, so that is before the sun. All right, so if you have the before the sun Mercury, then you have a lot of forethought, seclusion. You like to have your thoughts kind of hidden, And you also feel, in a sense, feminine, or the yin of the yin and yang. You know, everything is relative. They're not absolute. But if you stand right next to another person who is after Sun Mercury, then you would say, oh yeah, I'm a little bit more, you know, passive or feminine, or I like to be tender, you know, that kind of thing. Anticipating what's going to happen. You may be somewhat uncertain to wait and see what's going to happen, and instinctual and emotionally based. And compared to the after the Sun Mercury, you are so much more self-driven. And you may say to a friend like, oh yeah, I want this done. You don't do before the Sun, like, oh, okay, I'll wait to see how you do, and then maybe you convince me. No, the after the Sun is like a Aries Sun, right? If you think of this before the Sun as a Pisces Sun, but Pisces Mercury, but this is just my way of relating to the 12th house Mercury or the first house Mercury. So if you have a first house Mercury similar to an Aries Mercury, then you're more self-driven, you're more subjective, you're more action-based, extrovert, and masculine. Okay, so that's the difference between the two, before and after. Now, if you have a Mercury right on the Sun, you know, given a few degrees of orb, 5 degrees or 3 degrees or something, you know, if you're relatively close to the Sun, then you are generally very articulate, expressive, talkative, known for your intellect. You need to be recognized. So I think if we have anybody who talks for a living, or if we have somebody who talks really fast, or who just needs to get a lot of things out, you know, so, you know, a lot of those people who have Mercury Sun conjunction, of course, they're very good at talking, you know, because Sun is their Mercury is their Sun. So they kind of color each other. But I would say that there is a deeper level. They need to be recognized. You know, maybe some people would say, we use the word combust, like, oh, the Sun is burning out the Mercury. Okay. Maybe that is a way to think of it. However, I would say Mercury is thought of as when we were little. If the Sun is right on the Mercury, you know, many people say that, okay, that can tell us when you were a child, when you were a toddler, when you were in school, the teacher was probably very dominant, or your parents, your dad was dominant, and they didn't let you speak. And then so every time you wanted to say, oh, mom, I want to, and then they say, shut up. Okay, shh, don't say anything. So there, that is the Sun on Mercury, or Mercury on the Sun. And so as they grow up, there is always a need to be recognized. So that probably explains why they are so outspoken. Hey, you know, I give you my opinion. I tell you how I think, or I tell you how this is, you know. So, you know, I used to think that the Mercury Sun conjunction people are so, so smart. They're always the go-to person. And then I realized, okay, they may have something that they need to prove. So, okay. Yeah. Anyway.
I have a question, Audrey, if I may, as someone who may have Mercury conjunct the Sun. So I have something to prove. It's a joke. A little bit of Mercury humor in there. What's the orb you're using for that? And is there a distinction in the way that you look at this between, you know, a wider conjunction and literally a combust within just a couple degrees, or even with Cazimi? You know, are those different layers that you would look into for that?
I understand. Thank you so much. So I use about 3, 4, 5 degrees. To me, it's symbolic. I don't care if it's Cazimi, or if it's all of a sudden really good, like you're in the Typhoon Eye, or, you know, I don't really, I just think that it is what it is. So if you have some Mercury conjunction, whatever degree, even 5, 6, 7 degree, I would say that it shows a lot of that, you know, that kind of a tendency.
Okay, so in my case, it's a little bit more than 10. Would you not consider that to exhibit this particular trait?
Yeah, I would say that's a little bit far.
Okay, all
So
right.
you would go with either the before or after. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Audrey,
Mhm.
can I ask a question? It's
Yeah,
Kathy.
please.
Hi. Could you define combust and cazimi, please?
Okay. Again, this is by definition. Combust may be just very close conjunction, like a 1, 2, 3 degrees. Cazimi will be like within 17 seconds or minutes, seconds. Yeah. So let's say you have a sun at 1 degree, 30 minutes. And then you have the Mercury at 1 degree and then 20 seconds, then that's the difference of 10. And so I would say, yeah, that would mean it's a cazimi.
Okay,
It's-
so is the combust, is that like, I mean, that's quite a verb, that's quite a visual, you know, something to like a combust. Is
Yeah.
there like something tied into that very close conjunction that would like extinguish something or burn something up, or they just call it that?
Okay, when they conjunct, when anything conjunct with the sun, because sun
with the
is
sun,
such a,
okay.
yeah, if it's yes, it's the sun. Yeah, the
Okay.
sun is considered to burn something, and to burn something up, like eclipse, sun burn up the moon. I mean, whoever that's close to the sun can be at risk of getting burned and not have any more identity. So, yeah.
So then somebody in a natal chart whose Mercury is like conjunct the sun or 1 degree from the sun, maybe it would obliterate that some of the Mercury attributes.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because like, you know, I have several friends that have stelliums where Mercury is very close, if not conjunct the sun. And I never know how to read it because there's just everything's so close together and so close to the sun.
Yeah. So now you can go back to look at their charts and see why they're so talkative, right?
Why they're so what?
Why they're so talkative.
Yes.
So if my
I'd
son
like
is,
I'd like to say something about that because I was very interested in that. I found that, like I was studying Theodore Roosevelt's chart, he has a Mercury combust the sun. However, it's in front of the sun. So what I feel like that his father was predominant in his life. The sun, all of it trying this north node. But because he was ahead of the sun, he gradually was able to move away from that dominance to be able to make up his own mind. Whereas if you were behind the sun, it was like, you haven't reached that point yet. You haven't left that. It's going to affect you as a young child, the dominance of the sun.
Yes, yes. Okay, so yeah, thank you. I have examples I will show you. Okay, so after the explanation of that previous page, I just I put some more people over here just to show a point. So before the sun, let's say similar to Pisces sun, even though I shouldn't say that, but it's just an easier way to relate. So let's say somebody, okay, Irina Sandler, this is a lady who are from the Holocaust era, and she had to do a lot of secretive hiding of the children. So that is sort of like a legacy. You have to look at your chart as a lot of the different ways of like a story, historic story of your life. And then so all the secretive things that she did was a manifestation of that 12th house Mercury. All right, now Obama, Netanyahu, Angela Merkel, compared to after Sun, Mercury, we have Vladimir Putin or, Xi Jinping or Donald Trump. So you can kind of see a different style. Vladimir Putin, he may say, oh, that chair is mine. Hey, I sit there. You don't sit there. Nobody sit there. And maybe Angela Merkel would say, oh, may I please sit over there? Or you sit there. Okay, you sit there, I'll sit here. Okay, so I think that there is just a difference of people, their overall attitude, like, hey, don't do that. This is mine. So after the sun is a lot more self-assuming. Right? There's nothing good or bad about any of this. I'm not saying that, oh, look at how bad it is. No, it's not. We're just talking astrology. So I don't want to offend anybody.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So if my sun is 5 degrees before my Mercury, do I look at conjunct sun or a combination of conjunct and after?
Yes, you look at the combination. I think it's good to not eliminate, to not say, oh, I'm not that, so I think you're both.
Can I follow up, Audrey, on Joanna's question? Because she had mentioned earlier that she is a Gemini sun and a Cancer Mercury, if I remember correctly. Does that change of sign in any way alter the interpretation? Does it or not? Is it just a question of just blending the ingredients? It's not as easy necessarily because they're not in the same sign.
Right. Okay. So of course, that is the art of interpreting or understanding, comprehending, because sometimes we have a water planet and a fire sign, then you have a blending of both. So there is never never like oh, I'm totally not that, or okay, well, it's so confusing, am I this or am I that? I think it's just smarter and wiser as we get older to have more blending. So yeah, I would always read that together. The other day I did, I don't mean to stray away from the conversation, but in Chinese New Year forecast, they were saying that in this year you may have like a Band-Aid in your constellation, and they say that a Band-Aid is a good sign, a lucky sign that you can fix things, but then that doesn't mean that you don't have the pain, because you do have the injury on your arm, so that you need the Band-Aid, right? So the two can coexist at the same time. Please do not ever say, oh, I don't have the injury anymore because I have a Band-Aid. No, because they do coexist.
So Audrey, I have a question. I have Mercury after the sun, and I have my Mercury in my chart is in 27 degrees of Leo in mutual reception to my 14-degree Virgo sun in the 6th house. And I have, it's just a note, in the 5th house, I have Venus and Pluto exactly the same degree in Leo. So, the mutual reception, does that, because I'm very much into creative expression and writing, songwriting and singing and all that. Does the mutual reception mean that much?
Yes. Yes, of course, but it's not a combust, so
Right.
you're lucky. But yeah, definitely they read that together, and we're not taking away anything from other talk, like aspects or other things. So we're just today taking a greater look at the Mercury. So yeah, I think with the Mercury in the 5th house, you want to do that's a before, right? Before, and then
Oh, my Mercury's in the 6th house. It's just after the sun, which is in the 6th house. The Mercury's 27 degrees Leo, the sun is 15 Virgo. It's where I have the 5th house, where I have Venus and Pluto both in 10 degrees
yeah,
in Leo. So it's just,
yeah.
I was just putting all the pieces together.
Yes.
You
Okay.
know,
So yeah. So okay. Gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry. Go ahead, please. Somebody ask a question. I forgot. I had a point.
Thank you. That was making sense. I just wanted to see what you said about that.
Okay. Thank you.
I do have a question. If the Mercury is after the sun, but Mercury's in retrograde and it's heading back towards the sun, does that change that definition at all?
No, it doesn't. Oftentimes I would say that it has to do with the timing of progression. And then of course, I don't know how close they are. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I wanna bring out a point that anything in your chart can be read standalone. You know, it can be a standalone thing, just like reading you know, a sun sign. And a lot of people like to say, oh, I need to see the whole chart. No, you don't have to see the whole chart. I think that our process is to learn about that one planet in that one house first, fully understand it, and then we can talk about the different aspects. Okay? It's like you want to run before you crawl. So I think it's a good thing to talk about one planet, and then to say, okay, well, that one is coming on or adding up, you know, so all of that can be the progression of your study of astrology. That would make life easier. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Audrey, Audrey,
Yes.
in your examples, if you go back to the one you just had up,
Okay.
I don't understand some of these examples.
Okay.
Inward perceptive and feminine, Osama bin Laden.
In the previous, oh, okay. So, you know, he and, okay, earlier, okay, I just so happen to have that, have him in two different slides. So Osama and Abu, that's the ISIS guy in the US. And you know, because they have water Mercury, they feel like they're the mother of their nation. So you may say, oh well, okay, I can imagine him being gentle and loving. But that is, you know, of course, we have to isolate him to say, okay, what is discharge karmic purpose? You know, of course, we add on the US, we add on 10 other different countries, and we say, okay, well, you're killing us. How can you, you know, so, but to look at his own chart, you know, these people, they may think that, oh, we are martyrs. Yeah, we love our people, so that's why we're doing this. So I hope you understand that.
Kind of like the mama bear taking care of their own.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, you know, Bruce Lee, oh, is he feminine? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we can only look at their own chart to say, yeah.
Okay, we have to go beyond this. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Jeff.
I have another question, Audrey.
Okay.
Because
yeah, okay,
I was a little confused too. I have the sun in the first house, my Mercury in Cancer, and Mercury is in Leo in the second house. Now I call that behind the sun. In other words, the sun is rising first, so I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it
before and after. Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so if it comes after the sun, but
sure,
it's not. It's after the sun. That you're calling it. But it's after the sun. Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
I was thinking of the other way. Okay, well, what's before the sun? It has to be rising before the sun, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I know that okay. Oh, all right. So a very quick point is, do you? I had a blog. I said, do you think like Jeff Bezos or do you think like Elon Musk? So I don't know who you think your idol is here. They're both very rich people. Okay, so Jeff Bezos is the before the sun, and the Elon Musk is after. Okay, so this is the last page, the last concept, which I think is also a very good one for those who are, you know, slightly above and beyond the beginner astrologer, intermediate astrologer. I think that this is a concept that I would like to use on all the planets in your chart, not just Mercury. I want to call it Mercury sandwich. I think that you want to know where your mind came from and what goal to go to. Okay, so that means we are taking Mercury and one planet before and one planet after, and we're looking at the Mercury's coming and going, where it came from, where it's going to. Okay, so this is called a sandwich, and you can do that with your own moon, your Mercury, your Saturn, your Mars, or any other 9 planets. Please do that. And so, okay, I put this table over here. And I'm going to use myself for a quick example to explain. So before my Mercury is in Cancer, and before that is Mars in Taurus. So you may say that by past life or by in this lifetime or any concept, before my Mercury was conditioned as that Mars in Taurus. So it has a lot of that Mars and Taurus energy in my Mercury, because that's where it came from. All right, so I would say if I came from Mars in my last life, and I just so happen to suspect that I was a military man. So in this table, it says, I like challenge, I was in war, every day I thought about, having courage, being physical, fighting and stuff. And then of course, probably, being a sexual man, and I had the temper, and the restless and masculine. Okay, so those are the things that feeds into my Mercury. And then what's after my Mercury is my Sun in Leo. So my Mercury is in Cancer, Sun is in Leo. So Sun is my goal, is where I want to be in this lifetime. All right, so I'm trying to go from Mars to the Sun to be more stable, to probably, build up my fame, trust, vitality, ego, success, reliability, leadership, and being a solid person, and not be like at war, trying to fight people or being driven. My commander told me to go here, go there, and and ended up dead and all that. So in this lifetime, I'm trying to be a son. And to me, when I did this, I thought it was kind of like a south node and north node, but not quite the same, right? But at least the karmic consciousness is kind of the same as the nodal situation. So do you guys have any question? Please ask me. And then we can, of course, look at your charts. All of these keywords are pretty simple. All of the astrologers should be able to say, oh yeah, I know this. So I don't need to explain, but the concept is really good. Mercury, which other 2 planets are on the outside of your sandwich? And that is what we're doing here.
Okay, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've got Mercury that's in Libra right now, and so above it is the next planet is my sun. Is the sun.
Uh-huh.
So my sun's in Scorpio.
Okay.
And then beneath the Mercury is, what's the shape that looks like a big U? Is that Uranus or?
It's what,
with
one of the
curls,
nodes.
with curls on top of it.
That's a node. Lunar node.
Okay, so
Is
that's
it, which
yeah.
node is it?
Oh, that's like a big U. That will be a south node.
Yeah.
So is that so that's not a planet, so we don't count that.
I do have the south node here.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. So okay, you have a Scorpio sun. Where is what sign is Mercury?
Libra.
Libra. Okay, and the south node is in Libra or in Virgo, or what else?
South nodes in Okay.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
It looks like Libra. Libra. It's Libra. It's either Libra or it's Virgo. I'm trying to see what establishes where that exactly.
But that's okay.
lands.
Yeah, that's okay. It's not crucial. All right. So I will just tell you from the standpoint of the sandwich, you have a South Node and a Mercury and the Sun. So South Node is where you came from, past life tendency, and old habits or bad habits.
Oh, lucky me.
Huh?
Oh, lucky me. I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Vulnerability, strong pull, familiarity. Okay, so that means your Mercury knows what you knew from before. Whatever you knew, like, oh, I like to get together with people. I love entourage. I love parties. I love whatever, so that's the South Node in Libra, right? And then, but you're trying to get to the Sun in this lifetime and not be all that social butterfly. And I'm not saying that please, I'm sorry, I'm not judging, but the Sun is a Scorpio, so it's a different sign than Mercury and the South Node. So you're trying to do something that's quite different. And also, just like me, you're trying to do the stability, the fame, trust, vitality, ego, and so on and so forth.
Well, my South Node's in Libra. That's right, because I heard my North Node's in Aries. So that would mean, yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to go from social light, social butterfly to inward deep diving.
Being stable and being just focused on success and being the solid, the pillar for other people.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Andrea,
Yeah.
Did that answer your question? You still have a question?
No, I didn't put down my hand still up.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just making sure.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
Could I ask something? I have it looks like before my Mercury, I have the Sun in Virgo. It's conjunct an asteroid. I forgot the name of it, but so you did know the name of it. I just left my mind. But
Chiron, maybe? Is it Chiron?
No, it's one of the. It's not. There's Vesta, Ceres, and then there's the 4 feminine asteroids, and it's one of those. Juno. Yeah. So I don't know that you can say anything about that, but it's to the degree conjunct. That was before the 27. My 27 degree Leo Mercury, and after. The closest planets are in the 5th house, Venus and Pluto, totally in the same degree in Leo.
Oh, okay.
In the 5th house. And, all I know is I've always had I just want to hear what you would have to say, because I have a definite thing with performing, singing, songwriting, and also health and healing and researching that. So all those are there, but I don't know. I just wanted to hear I just wanted to get clearer on what.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so Mercury came from the Sun. I'm sorry, came from Venus. Sorry, because you have Leo, and then Sun in Virgo, right? So it came from Venus and Pluto. So because they conjunct, you can read both.
Maybe I'm goofed up. Let's see, because I have I'm sorry, I just need to get this clear, because this feels like it's very important. It's important. If I have this, it's a little embarrassing. If I have the Sun and Juno conjunct in the 6th house in Virgo, and then my and I would say those would be before. Now this is, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I thought I had this.
It's okay.
The Mercury is 27 degrees Leo.
Yeah.
And I would say that's after the sun?
No, Leo is before Virgo. So you have Venus, Moon, Pluto, and then Mercury, and then the sun. Okay, just by the order of astrological signs. Yeah.
And how would you interpret that sort of?
Okay, so your Mercury comes from Venus and Pluto because it conjunct. So it's pretty. It will be ignorant of me to say, oh, only Venus or not Pluto, or only Pluto and not Venus. So basically, we need to look at both of them straight in the eye. So yeah, you came from a sense of beauty, enjoyment, indulge, talents, addiction, love, jealousy, admiration. So I'm sorry, I have to put some bad words in there because.
Oh, it's okay. I can relate. No, please.
Yeah. And especially if it's close to Pluto, then yeah, I would say, very strong feelings, totally strong tendencies. Yeah, bamboozled, transformed, drunken love, and all of that good stuff. Yeah, really strong. So in this lifetime, you're trying to do the sun. Right? The other side of the Mercury is the sun. So you will find out that we read the sun a lot because sun is not far from Mercury, so it often shows up. So yeah, Carolyn, you're also trying to become very stable and not be drawn into relationships or anything that makes you go crazy. Fortunately,
absolutely.
Yeah, you're not fat overeating, because I would be overeating. So yeah, I think a lot of this stability stuff is really important to you.
It is, and is the conjunction with why do I always forget the name of that asteroid? Juno. That I saw that interpretation one time as, I don't know, how should I say, partnering with oneself, which sounds, you know what I mean, is that has something to do with becoming more self-sufficient, or I'm sorry, I don't. That's all I want to ask. I know there's a lot of people want to ask questions. I just wanted to.
Yes. Yeah, you want to know, you have Mercury in Leo, so you have every ability to stand out on the stage alone by yourself. So you want to trust yourself and say, yes, I want to do that. I am that. I don't need anybody else to prop me up or to be a part of my life. And I am Mrs. Somebody. I am a standalone person. So yeah, definitely have a relationship with yourself and be confident, be strong.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
This is
Anybody else?
Audrey?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I'd like to ask a question. I logged on to the call at 1/4 after, so I wasn't there in the very beginning, but have you covered Mercury retrograde yet?
No, I didn't.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because my son was born with Mercury retrograde, and the more I learn about astrology, the more I feel like the people that are born with Mercury retrograde, it doesn't affect them when it goes retrograde like it affects most of us. Is that your experience?
Well, I've heard that too, but I think that it's something that we get used to, or I this is my belief, and so please, I think that we learn to do that, or as we progress backward. And you basically you progress, secondary progression, you progress backwards so many years, and then you go forward. So I just think that we learn because there was something that we didn't do. I'm a full believer of past life. So I think that there's something that you didn't finish, or that you wanted to go back to figure things out and to think some more. And that is how I feel about the retrograde. And maybe it doesn't affect you, or maybe it just didn't hit the degree of your own other planets, of your whatever other planets. So yeah, I always look for the exact conjunction to other planets in the chart.
Okay, my son has 6 planets in the 8th house, Scorpio. Hello, I have no idea who he is. I don't understand him. We have the exact same degree Sun in Scorpio and the exact same degree Mercury in Scorpio. So you'd think that we would be one and the same, like-minded. Not that we don't get along, don't get me wrong. He has Venus at 0 degrees Scorpio, right along with Mercury. So his sandwich is Sun, Venus, Mercury. I coincidentally have Venus at 29 degrees Libra right before mine. So mine is also a Mercury sandwich with Venus on the other side. Can you lend any kind of explanation to this lifelong mystery?
All right, let me make sure. So it's so Mercury is between Sun and Venus. Between Sun and Venus?
No, it goes Sun 3 degrees, Venus 0 degrees, and Mercury 0 degrees.
Okay, so but Venus is before the Venus is before Mercury, right?
No, they're both at 0 degrees.
Yes, but one has to be a little before. Yeah.
Well, I'd have to bring up the chart on my computer to see the because they're both at 0 degrees. So I just don't see the minutes.
You
on
don't
that.
remember the minutes. Okay, but his Mercury is retrograde.
Yes.
Okay, that means that his Mercury and Venus is direct. Yes.
And what?
His Venus is direct.
His Venus is direct.
And his Mercury is retrograde.
Right.
Okay, so they're on opposite sides of the sun. Are yours both direct?
Mine are both direct.
Yeah, so yours are both on the far side of the sun.
Far side.
So there becomes it's going to be a subtle distinction, but his Mercury is passing between, has passed between the sun and the earth, where your Mercury and Venus are passing around on the back side, on the far side of the.
Okay, well, that's kind of fascinating. I opened up his chart, so they're 20 minutes apart. His Mercury is at 4 degrees and his retrograde, and Venus is at 24 minutes. I mean, 24 minutes.
Okay.
4 minutes versus 24 minutes.
Okay, so he has Venus between Mercury and Sun.
Yes.
Okay.
My mother was an astrologer my whole life, and she was in the waiting room, and I'm just so surprised that she didn't tell the doctor, don't do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. That kind of helps me a little bit.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so anybody else have a question, or I will.
Yeah, I thought I'd chime in real quick to share that I have a natal Mercury retrograde, and I have this inherent understanding that it's simply 3 times a year we have to take an opportunity to reflect, rewind, review. And so I think it's just a part of my natural cycle and our natural cycles to pause, reflect, and then go forward. But not everybody has that. So I think that's one reason.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I have Mercury retrograde friends who are so brilliant. So there is no, to me, I don't really think of it as detriment or pulling you back. So, okay, so this is the end of my presentation. Mine is a terrible thing to waste. So I've enjoyed myself so much. Thank you very much. So Jim, I'll give it back to you.
Oh,
okay.
It's been so wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So good.
Okay. How's everybody?
Jim,
Yes.
Jim, you did a presentation on planet sandwiching, remember? What did you call them? There's a book about them because I remember you gave me some of them.
Oh, the planetary combinations.
Yeah, containment.
Yeah, there's
containment, right?
There's only a couple of books that talk about planetary combination, which has to do with, the planet before and after each planet, there's the concept is that if you're moving in zodiacal order, then you're going in the normal order, the direction the planets are always moving. And so the planet before, which is the one that rises first, rises before, kind of sets the tone for then the sandwiched planet. And the planet that rises after the sandwich planet kind of sets the tone then for where things are headed regarding that planet. Realizing that in some cases, that by transit, the transiting planets may never match up. But when you're looking at the natal chart as a fixed image, you know that at some point, wherever Pluto is, he's going to deal with somebody, for example, even though he's the slowest of the planet. And the Mercury is the fastest of the planets, not Moon, of course. It's going to go around it every year, and we'll touch each of them every year. And one thing that you can do to try to get a sense of Mercury is to look back when this happened before. Consider where Mercury is now, for example, and you look at the planet that's before Mercury and the planet after Mercury, and consider when transiting Mercury touched those 2 points. What was happening?
Mm-hmm.
And that can start to give you a sense, perhaps a little better understanding of your Mercury. But yeah,
the other thing I was going to say is that I remember my youngest son was born with Mercury retrograde, but when it turned direct, it was a major event in his life. I mean, that's when my husband and I got divorced and the family separated, and so it had a big impact on the way he was communicating.
Yeah, when if you're anybody that's born with one of the, like Mercury, Venus, or Mars retrograde, if you look and see if it's by progression gone direct, that time of the change in direction, there'd be something significant going on around that time. It would also be true if you're born with them direct and they go retrograde by progression. That's something significant. It's going to be a notable time in the person's life when those things happen. Similar in some ways to when an outer planet crosses one of the angles, like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. When they cross an angle, typically there is something significant happening in the person's life around that at that time. If it's the descendant, it could be the ending of a relationship. If it's the ascendant, it might be some major change in their outlook on life. Midheaven, possibly a career change. The IC, change of location, change of home, loss of a close relative or friend. So those are the kind of things to, as you explore and start to learn, as you get a general sense of things, start looking at what's happening with progressions and when those things change. When did the sun change signs? What's the
or the ascendant change? Like my grandson's a Taurus, and his son just went into Gemini, and he's really a Gemini type of personality. So I guess the sun, it doesn't show that much different. He's just more Gemini than he was.
Yeah, those are the kind of indicators that can help to shed light on and understanding to what is going on within our lives or the lives of the people we're looking at, whoever you're looking at. And can in some ways, then, if you can explain it to them in layman's terms, and they can help them to understand, what they're going through. It's like, it's okay. It's natural. It's, this is your life.
Well, I had to explain that to him because he just had Uranus go over his sun north node conjunction for the last year. It's going back and forth across it. So he's going through quite a few changes. And it's in the first house. So his identity is going to come up.
Well, that's the thing with the outer planets that makes them so significant is they hit all the points 3 times. So, you're getting slapped. That tends to make it more intense, or certainly helps to bring it into consciousness. Mercury, does her retrograde every year that goes into through their retrograde cycle, and usually they stay within an element. So sometimes the first or last retrograde will be a combination of elements, which can signify then that the following year it's going to be a different element. So that's something else you can look at is if, for example, you have Mercury in an air sign and the coming year has all the Mercury retrogrades in an air sign, that means like, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and they'll go in that sequence. Then, you might feel it more. It might feel more comfortable for you because generally it seems that people born with Mercury retrograde are more comfortable when Mercury is also retrograde. It doesn't have, it's not noted to have some of the adverse effects that it might have on somebody born with Mercury direct.
I have a follow-up question. First of all, I just want to say, Audrey, thank you so much for taking the time to share your work with us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
But Jim, you had mentioned in reference to Zan about the difference, even though superficially speaking, there was an alignment between her sun and her chart. One occurred when Mercury was in a different position in relation to the sun. And that's a very perceptive comment. And so I appreciate you mentioning that. But in terms of interpretation, when I'm looking at a chart and I'm seeing these alignments, I'm looking at the synastry and whatnot, it may not be something that immediately comes to mind. How do you interpret that differently? You may have said something and maybe I missed it because just the impact of being aware of that distinction, hit me very prominently. But could you elaborate on how you would approach that significance?
I would, generally with retrogrades, I think of them as tending to internalize things. Okay, so the Mercury energy would be more internalized when retrograde rather than when she's direct. You could be better at externalizing it. So somebody, typical person born with Mercury direct is able to communicate. They think and communicate in a more extroverted or outward going, where the person born with Mercury retrograde may tend to be more introspective. They may journal as opposed to write, try to write an article or just write, and they're writing to how they write to people in the outside will be different from how they journal, for example.
All right, so this is revealing one of the aspects of the astronomy of astrology that is not my forte, understandably. So it's always on the other side of the sun when it's in retrograde, or vice versa. That's
okay. Planets that are retrograde are closest to the Earth.
Okay.
So when Mercury and Venus are retrograde, they're moving either they're going to pass between the Earth and the Sun. Okay, and then when they station direct, then they move around and they go around on the far side of the Sun. Planets that are outer planets, when they're retrograde, that's when they appear to be in an opposition to the Sun, because they're on the opposite. They're behind us or the opposite side of us from the Sun. And you can kind of get that sense if you look at a chart and keep in mind that the middle of that center dot in the center of the inner circle is the Earth. It's you. It's where you're standing on the Earth.
Right. Okay. I thank you for that. This is an area that
and there's literally four different, to my thinking, 4 different Mercury Venus conjunctions. They can be conjunct when they're both direct and on the opposite side of the Sun, which means they really are conjunct. Or they may be conjunct when they're both retrograde and going between the Earth and the Sun. Or they may be conjunct when Venus is direct and Mercury is retrograde, or Venus is retrograde and Mercury is direct, meaning they're on opposite sides of the Sun, which has some oppositional characteristics to it. So, Zan, where you have Venus, Mercury on the same side of the Sun and conjunct, that's a conjunction. But with your Sun who has them on opposite sides, it becomes it can have some oppositional characteristics. Plus, now you're looking at a double separating aspect as opposed to an applying or separate. It's when you have 2 planets, one direct and one retrograde. and there's an aspect coming up. They're either both up, you either have both of them applying to it or both separating from it, because they're moving in opposite directions. So in the case of her son, who had Mercury at 4 minutes and Venus at 24 minutes, you know, they just had their little conjunction, and now they're both moving away from that point. And so that's a double separating aspect. So keep that in mind in terms of the strength of the aspect.
If I'm to understand you correctly, and maybe I'm not, so you know, forgive me if I'm a little slow on the uptake here. But if Mercury is conjunct, or excuse me, is direct, and Venus is retrograde, are you saying that that's an optical illusion, that it appears to be conjunct, but really they're on opposite sides of the sun?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an important distinction. I was not aware of it. Okay.
So now you to complicate it, but you didn't need to keep in mind how far from the sun is that conjunction occurring. Okay, if, for example, the conjunction occurs as one of them is stationing, then they're going to be a little, they're going to be closer than it would if it's after the stationing point. Yeah, so basically, I mean, Venus and Mercury, from our perspective, can make a conjunction or a sextile. Those are the two Ptolemaic aspects they can make. Minor aspect would be a semi-sextile, a semi-square, and a quintile. They can get up, I think they can get, because if Mercury hits maximum and Venus is maximum on the other side of the sun, then the other opposite from the sun, they can get close to 72 degrees. So you have a very limited aspects that they can make.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
And how do you differentiate between the morning and the evening stars? You know, when they talk about Venus, if it's rising or it's below. The morning and the evening. Does that make a differentiation too?
Yes, it makes a difference whether we're dealing with evening stars or morning stars. Now, when they're both on the same side of the sun, they're either going to both be evening stars or morning stars. If they rise before the sun, meaning they're behind the sun, so they're ahead of the sun in one perspective. See, there's ahead of and behind, and before and after, and they sometimes take on opposite meanings. One referring to physics, the visual, and the other referring primarily to zodiacally speaking. So it kind of, you need to think in terms of, to me, it's easier to think in terms of the motion of the planets and which one is it rising before the sun or said rising after the sun. Those that rise before the sun are going to be behind the sun zodiacally in terms of the zodiac. So I've got Mercury at 0 Virgo and Sun at 10 Virgo. So it's behind the sun in terms of the zodiac, but it rises before. Where Venus is in Libra, so it rises after the sun, but it's ahead of the sun zodiacally. How much have I confused everybody? Once you become, as you become more comfortable with the meanings of the planets and signs and houses, I encourage you to try to develop a visual sense of what's going on. See it visually, so that, because that can help to give you a little better sense, I think, of what you're seeing. For example, we have a Venus-Mars conjunction coming up, I think on the 16th, thereabouts. They are both before the sun zodiacally, or they rise before the sun. So Early in the morning, you look to the east and look for Venus, and Mars should be fairly close to it up in the sky. They're not going to be that far above the horizon, probably not more than 45 to 60 degrees, where you have not much more than 30 to 45 degrees above where you can see them, because if they get much higher than that, you may not even be that high, then the sun's going to start to rise and it'll start to burn them out. But it should be a pretty nice visual, seeing both Venus and Mars rising together. Let me do this. February 16th. Yes, sure it is. Interesting. And they're going to be, they're not necessarily going to be that close together because of their difference in declination, but they will both be rising in the east, and they will be, if you're looking straight east, they will be more towards the south or to your right than to the right of direct east. And Venus should be, relationally speaking, Venus might be like at 12 o'clock and Mars at 4 o'clock. Yeah, because Mars is coming out of south declination, and so moving higher in the sky. Have you noticed the moonrise? Did you see the moonrise last night? If you remember seeing the moon rising last night,
It rose in the day.
I was going to say, I saw the moon all day. It was up there all day, or all afternoon anyway.
But if you'll notice, the moon is pretty high in the sky, much higher than it would seem to be north. So that's north declination, and it's actually out of bounds north, meaning it's higher than the summer solstice sun. Okay, so that's what an out of bounds north declination moon looks like. That can kind of again, it's a visual understanding of what this two-dimensional image of a chart is displaying. Here, come back here. Okay, do we have more questions about anything?
Hey, speaking of observational astronomy, astrology, there was this conversation about, and I think the best way to do it is to find out where is.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Get closer to your mic or turn your volume up.
Is that better?
A little better.
Okay, yeah, I just was talking about observational.
Okay, go on.
You can look at my. Can you hear me, Jim?
Barely.
Okay, just see the chat box.
Okay, chat box. Yes. Okay.
Question while she gets her head.
Okay. Yes, February 16th. Yes, it's also a full moon.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
When we were talking about Mercury and before or after planets, Mercury's so close to the sun, all the planets are after Mercury. I mean, I guess it depends on whether there was a planet. Okay, never mind. Okay, thanks. The other question is, I got confused. I was only thinking my own chart. The other thing is, was the recording, I didn't press yes, I wanted to record.
Oh.
Will that be available?
Yes, I do the recording, and then I will post it and I'll send you all a link.
Okay.
So you can watch it.
I do have one other question, well, not question, comment really, and
Yeah.
it might be, please forgive, because I got Neptune on my midheaven for half of last year, this year. But
Welcome.
okay, just so you, right.
Hey.
Neptune transits my whole life pretty much, but especially adult life, but every single thing that she mentioned, all of that Audrey mentioned, all the for Mercury before the planets.
Yeah.
I could relate to every single position, every single one.
So good. All right.
Is that like universal Neptune stuff? You know what I'm saying?
In part that, but also in part the fact that of the material she presented, and the fact that because you have Mercury as the leading, well, would be considered the leading planet. Basically, it rises first and everybody follows it.
Yeah.
So at some point, Mercury has gone over all of those. And so when you consider the idea of how that functions, yeah, that makes total sense.
I like that frame. Yeah, framework. That's a good way of, thank
yeah,
you.
see, Neptune is my most elevated planet as well.
Ah.
4 degrees from my midheaven.
Jim?
By transit or by
Natally. Natally.
Jim,
Yep.
you know, I'm so kind of simple about this. When did Mercury go retro and when does it go direct? Where is
it went
it
direct
now?
it went direct on the 3rd of February. I just happen to remember that. And it went retrograde 3 weeks before that.
Yeah, like mid-January when it went retrograde. But it won't get out of, it actually gets out of the shadow on the 23rd.
So it went direct on the 3rd, but it's still in a shadow.
Still in its shadow.
Because I could be a barometer for it. You know, it's like I should check this so I'm prepared. But like my computer stopped working, they wouldn't accept my car, which had $1,500 worth of service month before, is making noises, and I can't even pay my bill online because the company's phone keeps hanging up on me. I mean, it's like I'm a walking Mercury in retrograde person here.
Yeah. Well, those are the kind of things that can happen. Yeah.
I have a question. You mentioned
yes.
you guys were mentioning the midheaven just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
What if my north node is basically on the midheaven?
That's nice.
What does that mean?
I would equating the north node to the future, the unknown, what can be scary.
It's in Leo too.
But what our life purpose is supposed to be for this lifetime. The north node representing where we want to be recognized and acknowledged. It's kind of like saying that it's really saying this is where you need to go, whatever that degree is, and that it may be scary, but you do need to do it anyway. Now, what you might consider doing, if you haven't, is look at the symbols for the degrees of the north node in your midheaven, and see if there's something there that resonates with you. Start with Sabian symbols because they're the easiest to find, but then there are other systems as well.
Yeah, it's my north node is 1 degree in Leo in the 10th house.
Okay. And your midheaven is
like right at the cusp of my 10th house.
Yes. What's the degree?
Oh, my ascendant.
No, your midheaven.
Oh, sorry, my midheaven is 2 degrees Leo.
2 Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And your north node is
1 degree Leo.
Okay, so it's in the 9th house.
Oh, sorry. My node, it's yes, actually.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I would look at the Sabian symbols for like those degrees for example, let's see. Hang on, I'm not going to lose you. Here we go. Have a book somewhere. Let's see. Here we go. I know I had it close again. Okay. So Leo. So your north node is 1 degree and some minutes of Leo, correct?
Yes, 1 degree Leo.
Okay, so the Sabian symbol for that degree is an epidemic of mumps.
Oh, I think I did have mumps.
There you go.
When I
And
was a
then
kid.
the midheaven at 2 degrees of Leo, that symbol is a mature woman keeping up with the times, having her hair bobbed.
My hair is quite long.
Well, yeah. Well, you're not mature yet.
Ah.
So you may find that, but then the question is, what do these two things represent? More, I mean, doesn't necessarily mean that you, in fact, had mumps, but the idea is being maybe a difficult or sickly or challenging time period. The mature woman having her hair bobbed is about really maybe changing your appearance or making some doing something regarding your appearance as a means, all of which relate to the concept of where you're going, your direction, your goal, your life, what makes you feel good. Do you want to be recognized? Like, are you happy in your work? If you're not, what is it you really want to do? What are you passionate about? And what I will sometimes say is, well, what did you want to be when you were little? You're not happy doing what you're doing, and you're not sure what you want to do. Then what did you want to be when you were little? Did you? And then you start thinking of some of the different things that you wanted to be, maybe whatever it might be, and consider then, well, would I be happier doing that now?
Yeah. Okay.
But
Thank you.
there are at least half a dozen to 10 different degree symbol systems. One with degree symbols, what you have to be careful of, though, is that you're reading the correct one. The Sabian symbols are numbered 1 through 30. So 1 refers to anything at 0 degrees, 59 minutes. And then 2 refers from 1 to 1 degree, 59 minutes. That's the 2nd degree of Leo. And then you go to the 3rd degree, which is of Leo, which is really 2 degrees of Leo.
Yeah.
Because 29 Leo is the 30th degree of Leo.
But in essence, it seems like I'm supposed to be moving towards like a more like out there kind of thing.
Yeah, but also think in mind in terms of what is Leo about.
Creativity, because it's also 10th house. There's a lot that is factored in there. And I was just trying to make sense of it because it is frightening for someone that's doesn't feel all that like worthy of a spotlight or something,
Yeah. Yeah, it can be challenging. And in some cases, it's not necessarily about being in the spotlight and getting recognition and accolades from the world so much as it is feeling good about yourself and getting the acknowledgement, perhaps just from your peers or from, like if you do one-on-one work with clients, their acknowledgement of your worth can be worth a lot more than the praise of, 1,000 Instagram followers or something.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
If I can just
I'd
add
like to add
something.
one thing, Joanna, because I have the North Node in the 10th house also. It's not on the midheaven, but I have to say, because it's Aries Libra, okay. I spent the first half of my life married and raising children at the Libra. That Uranus and Aries up there with the North Node, I didn't get to it until late in life. But if it's Leo, there's play involved. How much do you play? How much fun do you have? You've got to have, because I have Mercury and Leo, I work with children. That's the whole thing. So maybe you should look at doing astrology for children.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes
That's a
sense.
whole field.
Yeah.
That's a whole field of what is taken up.
I just want to add also, Joanna, I suspect, because your North Node is so close to your midheaven, that in the whole sign system, I don't know if you have any interceptions if you use a quadrant-based system, but I would imagine that the North Node is in the 9th house in the whole sign system.
Yeah.
Okay. So archetypally speaking, you have a very philosophical orientation with that North Node, as opposed to, I mean, I'm not discounting Leo significations here, but it's a different angle. And I have found sometimes it resonates much more profoundly with the person whose chart I'm looking at. And so archetypally, it would be less Leo. It would be more of the 9th house signification of the more expansive exploratory nature. And for me, I found that to be very profound in looking at many charts. So I just wanted to offer that, if that resonates with you, because Sagittarian, that kind of signification could be not as extroverted as Leo appears to be.
Yeah, because I usually use whole sign or house or whatever. And it says it's in Leo, but it's in the 10th, it's in the 9th house. So
No. Oh, I understand. Yeah. Oh, okay. I understand. Yeah, right. Exactly. Because they would align. And so, right. Exactly. Oh, that's an interesting point. You wouldn't have that distinction, would you? Oh no, that's possible, because in the right, you have a floating midheaven in when you're not dealing with a quadrant-based system. And so it would be very early in the 9th house in the whole sign. Is that right?
It would be at the end of the 9th house.
Not if it's at 1 or 2, if you're using whole signs.
Yeah, it's just bizarre because it's like it says it's. Yeah.
I think what's happening though is you're looking at the placement of, because if you're showing the midheaven placed where the midheaven is in the ascendant, because the ascendant ends up showing up in your 1st house, right, and your whole sign, and the midheaven is going to end up showing up in your 10th house. Okay. That, because you're which makes then Leo mostly 9th house, but it actually makes Cancer more 9th house.
Yeah.
And Leo ends up looking as if it's more in the 10th house, but you still end up with what appears to be the node in the late 9th house.
Yeah.
It's
what's your ascendant, Joanna? What's your ascendant?
Scorpio.
Sign? It's Scorpio. So you would have what am I? What can't?
It would show Libra.
It'd be Leo. That's right. It would be Leo. Would be your 10th house.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it would be okay. So forget what I said. The idea. No. So then your North Node would be in your 10th in the whole sign system, and it would be more of a Capricornian flavor. It would take on more that wisdom and that elder, that growing into your maturity. Okay. That is what it would be. Forget what I said about. I didn't realize. Okay, so it's 10th house. It's 10th house.
Yeah.
And but that archetypal view, honestly, I'm surprising, because I don't use whole sign normally. I use Placidus because I found it to be to my detriment or whatever. I just find it to be more accurate than anything else that I've looked at for most interpretations, but not for archetypal. I always go back to whole sign for that. And the level of profundity that I get from that investigation can't be underestimated, because there are things that I just would not understand without looking at it that way. And it de-emphasizes the sign on the node. It emphasizes the house.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
I just want to thank Audrey for her presentation. I got a lot out of it. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you very much, Audrey.
Yes,
Greatly appreciated.
it was
Thank
great.
you all. Thank you.
It's a good idea to pick Mercury, actually.
Yeah.
You know, that was a really good idea to pick Mercury, speaking of Mercury.
Yeah, when we, it seems like when we're learning astrology, we go through the planets and the signs and the houses, and we get some very basic information on it. And then we have to start putting the pieces together. But at some point, you need to then delve deeper into each of them to help expand the knowledge and deepen your understanding. And it's always good to go back and talk about some of this stuff, because it brings up things that either we A, didn't know, or B, that we once knew but we haven't thought about in a long time, or maybe we forgot. So yeah, it was very good. Thank you, Audrey. Much appreciated. Okay, does anybody have anything else? Let's see, Audrey said she's going to make her slideshow available, so to everybody, which is great. Thank you, Audrey.
Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Yeah, and the recording should be available within a couple of days. I will
All right,
send.
I do have one final question, because I am not coming to you from Southern California. I'm in Oakland. I'm in the north. Are the Rams going to win today, or Cincinnati? I'm just going to, the Rams are going to win?
Or Cincinnati. Personally, I'm sorry, but I'm not a.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
I'm
but
not a professional sports fan. I don't follow them anymore. Kurt Flood ruined it for me, so I really don't care who wins.
Okay.
Because fortunately, I'm in the valley and they're far away, so all the traffic congestion, if it's a major spreader event or whatever it might be, it's all down there and not up here. So I'm good whichever way it goes. I'd like to, or as my 7-year-old great niece asked her mother, is it going to be the bagels or the yams that win?
The yams. That's good.
Yes. So we will know in a few hours. So everybody take care. Thank you for your perseverance. Okay.
I'm sorry, real quick. So how do I forward the PowerPoint to, do you
can,
have
if you want to send it to me, then I'll send it out to everybody.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Okay.
That's typically the easiest way. And then I'll also post it in our Facebook group.
Thank you.
Righty. Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you, Audrey.
Everybody stay safe and well. And if any of you think of any other questions that come up, you're more than welcome to either email Audrey or you can contact me, and I'll be able to, I'll throw my 3 cents worth into whatever. I have an opinion on just about everything.
When's the next meeting date? Do you have that set yet?
Yes, our next one is going to be March 13th. And we're going to be talking about eclipses.
Oh, cool. That's interesting.
There are, as with every year, there will be 4 coming up. We'll probably touch a little bit. Well, yes, we're going to talk about prenatal eclipse, because that kind of sets the tone for each of us individually. And then we'll talk about specifically about the 4 that are coming up this year.
Yay.
These are the first one, the first eclipse of the Scorpio Taurus axis. So that's going to cause a shift from what we've been experiencing with Gemini Sagittarius. That'll be March 13th, noonish. Okay.
Okay.
All right, everybody, take care. Stay safe. Be well.
You too.
Thank you.
Stopping the recording and ending the meeting.
Okay.